It's time for this week's episode of Brandon Sports Talk, featuring in-depth interviews from those who are trending in the world of athletics. And now, here's the host of Brandon Sports Talk, Brandon Pate.
Welcome back to Brandon Sports Talk. In today's episode, I have the privilege to interview Andrew Haines, who now owns Andrew Haines Show, a podcast. How are you doing today?
Doing good. Thanks for having me.
That's wonderful. Can you talk about how you knew that you wanted to work in professional sports and then own a podcast?
Well, I've always played sports, so I've been a competitor, and when my talent ran out and I couldn't keep playing, I wanted to do the next best thing. So started getting involved in sports in the front office side of things. And really the podcast, I started last year, started during COVID, was bored a little bit, was like, this will be a great way to challenge me, get me outside of my comfort zone a little bit. And then the other cool thing is get to meet a lot of cool people and hear some great stories. So it's been a lot of fun.
How did you know that you wanted to do a podcast dealing with sports, and particularly people that work in the professional area of sports?
Well, I think, throughout the years, I've always had good conversations with people throughout the industry with other teams and other sports. And I was like, it would be kind of cool for people to hear some of these conversations. And so, a lot of people want to know, well, how did you become the team president, or how did you, get into sports? And so, the show really focuses on the journey of everyone's career, and just some lessons that can help people in their career development, and people who want to be in sports. But it just gives you a different side. Everybody talks about, like, the players and the stats and all that stuff, and so I wanted to kind of flip it and talk about the people behind the scenes. And so it's been a lot of fun, though.
Who are some of the notable people that you have interviewed for your podcasts?
I'll tell you what, I've had so many good ones. I think I'm up to about 67. But, I've had, team presidents from, the NBA G League to, senior executives within all the leagues, really, MLS, NFL. So, I mean, I think, even tech companies. I just released one the other day with a tech company. So I try to be as broad as I can. The last month, we've done a lot of baseball, just with my most recent, experience working in minor league baseball. So had a lot of minor league baseball people on. But, it's great. And a lot of people want to join the show. So there's no shortage of people wanting to be on. So there's going to be some more great guests coming up, over the next few months as well.
So speaking about working in sports, can you talk about the stops along your way?
Yeah, I took kind of a non-traditional route. I've always kind of owned the team. So early on, I started a team and started out in semi-pro football, real low level. Players don't get paid. It's more about fun and trying to develop. And I did that. I built it up, sold it. And then that's kind of what I did over the next 15 years. I would build teams up in different sports, and then I would sell them. And my whole goal was to keep kind of climbing the ladder as far as levels. So I started with a semi-pro football team, another semi-pro football team. Then I got into arena football and kind of developed from there. 2012, I started a team called the St. Louis Ambush, which is indoor soccer. Had a lot of success there. Sold the team in 2016, and moved back to Florida. Started another team here, the Florida Tropics, another indoor soccer. We also had outdoor soccer, and I sold that team, about 2 years ago. So most recently, I've been with the Washington Nationals minor league team in Fredericksburg, Virginia, as the vice president of sales. We were launching a brand new stadium there. And now I'm back in Florida. I do consulting with teams, work with a variety of sports and really try to help drive revenue and marketing for teams.
What was the process like of owning the Florida Tarpons?
The you know it's never an easy process because it starts with finding a viable facility, and then negotiating that deal, working with the city officials, working with all the key players there. So it really was over a year process behind the scenes of just putting the pieces together. And then once you do all the research, it really starts with the research, then getting a deal with the city or whoever has the facility, and then just kind of putting the little pieces together. Started coming up with names and bouncing ideas off of a core group of people to kind of shape that. And with the Tropics, one of my favorite movies has always been Semi-Pro with Will Ferrell. I don't know if you've seen that one, but they're the Flint Tropics. And so I was like, well, we're in Florida, so the Tropics would be great. And so that's how we developed that name. And most people that are in that circle of mine have watched that movie with me or know that I'm a big fan of that movie. So everyone who knows the team and knows me kind of gets the behind the scenes joke on that. But it's a long process, and I can't tell you how many times I've looked at doing it and it didn't work out. I couldn't either get the facility right, or the research just didn't come back where I felt strong enough. So, it's a long process, and it involves a ton of people really to pull it off.
When it comes to the planning behind bringing a team to a particular city or even state, what is that process like?
Well, always looking at kind of the demographics. You want to, know the population. So from the consumer side, the ticketing side, that's what I look at. Venue, is there a viable venue? And then I look at the companies that are based there. Look at the business side of it for those corporate tickets, the partnership stuff. And so it kind of starts with that, and then it kind of evolves. It's a lot of just meeting with people from the local government agencies, the visitors bureaus, I've been in a lot of arenas, so like arena football or indoor soccer. So working with those facilities to see, number one is if they want it. That's part of it. You want to have a partnership that they want you. And so it's really those are the key components. Is just is there enough people to support it from a fan base, and is there enough businesses as well that can support it. And then once you get past that, if those numbers look good, then you start reaching out to some of those key players in the community, and you get their feedback. So if we're in trying to think of if I'm in Lakeland, Florida, where Publix Supermarkets is headquartered, I want to talk to somebody high up at Publix and get their feedback. Is this something they would support? Is this, what do the local people think? Do some surveys. And it's never a quick process, unfortunately. It takes a lot of time, and it doesn't happen. I've done a lot of research on markets that never came to be.
What was your time like as the CEO and general manager of the St. Louis two teams, the Attack and the Ambers?
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. I mean, we had the St. Louis Ambush was indoor soccer. The St. Louis Attack was arena football. So we had one staff that ran both teams. The soccer season was in the winter, and arena football was kind of spring, summer. So it was a lot of fun. I moved to St. Louis. I didn't know anybody. I had traveled back and forth for a year. The weather was great. As soon as I move up there, it snows all the time and it's cold. Coming from Florida, that was a little adjustment, but it was great. The people were great there. The market was great. We had some great support, and some great people. I've made some lifelong friends there. So it's a lot of fun. We had a lot of great success, leading the league in at least in the top few for attendance, ticket revenue, some of the biggest partners in the league. So, our one football season in 2014, we went undefeated and we ended up losing in the championship. So that was a little devastating, but other than that, it was great. St. Louis is a great, city. It's a great sports market, but just really good people there.
What was your time like as the major leagues for soccer's general manager for the Orland Sea Wolves?
It was definitely interesting. I live in Orlando, so the league needed some help running the team. And since I was here and have owned teams, they were like, "Hey, can you help us get through the season?" So, it was a unique situation because the league took over ownership of the team, and so there wasn't like a local owner. It was just like, "Hey, some stuff happened, I guess, with the other owner. The league took it, and my job was to get it through the season." And it was a challenge. I mean, definitely we had road bump after road bump. I remember one trip, all of our games we flew to. So in an effort to save money for the league had us fly out the same day as the game. So like we were leaving from Orlando to play Baltimore on a Friday night game. So we were leaving Friday morning. Well, that works out great unless your plane gets delayed. And so our plane got delayed. I'm up in Baltimore already. So I have the coach and everybody calling me like, our plane's delayed, our plane's delayed. And then they cancel the flight. The airline canceled the flight. There was like some airplane issues or something. So they're all at the airport. It's like 7 a.m. And now we're scrambling to try to figure out how to get the team up there because everyone's like, "Well, we're not going to play." And I was like, "Well, not playing isn't an option. We have to be there." They had thousands of tickets sold and they're expecting a game. So we ended up having to take a bus from Orlando's airport to Tampa. We got on planes in Tampa. We arrived in Baltimore at like 6:30 and we got to the game about an hour late. Like the game had to get started late. There's always in the sports world, there's always stuff that happens. And, that case, the fans kind of had a little idea because of, the game getting pushed back. But there's a lot of instances where nobody knows all the the hoops and drama that we went through to make stuff happen. So it was fun. I mean, I would prefer not to have that extra stress, but it is what it is.
Can you talk about your time now working with the Fredericksburg Nationals and what you do?
Yeah, I was with them, basically all of last year, and I was the vice president of sales. So I oversaw, ticket sales, the box office, partnership sales and service, premium sales, and managed a team of 11. So we had about 11 sales and service reps. And, my job was to drive revenue for the organization. We built a brand new stadium, I think about a $35 million stadium. So it was the first year in that market. So we had a lot of signage to sell. We had to raise a lot of money. So we did a great job. The team did really well. We had some record numbers up there. I left the team in August to come back to Florida.
What are some of your future plans with your podcast, The Andrew Haines Show?
Well, I think, I want to continue to, bring on interesting, guests and just, continue to try to develop that. I'm in no way, shape, or form a professional podcaster. I guess I could be. I do have some paid advertisers. So, but it's not like this is my background or my expertise. But it's a lot of fun, and I guess some people like it because I mean, the numbers are decent as far as the podcast goes. So, I want to grow more on the video side. our videos don't get near the views that our podcast gets listens. So, want to just continue to develop that and hopefully keep putting out, content that people want to check out, and that's the key. I mean, I'll probably do it as long as people are willing to listen.
How has your sports background with owning sports businesses helped you with your podcasts of interviewing sports business owners and people in the sports industry?
I mean, I think it's been pretty good because I have such a diverse background. As an owner, I've had my hand in all aspects of the business. So, when I'm talking to somebody, I can kind of relate to a lot of the challenges and struggles that they may have, and also, in minor league baseball specifically, it's some of the most creative promotional things that you can come up with and see. So hearing some of those stories about how they came up with some of these promotions or which ones worked well, I look at it as a way for me to help develop my knowledge and skills so that when I go to my next team, I basically have all these ideas that I got from interviewing these people. And so there's no sense in reinventing the wheel. If something worked, I'm going to try it. And, it might not work in that specific market or that specific time, but I look at these interviews as a way for me to continue to develop my skills. So I'm always asking about like leadership and, sales and just a variety of things that will help me become a better professional in my field.
Who are some future interviews that you plan on having on?
Well, I really would like to get to some bigger levels. So I'm not there yet. I want to make sure that I feel comfortable enough before I go after, but I'd love to have like Adam Silver on, like the NBA commissioner or some other high level NBA executives, some team owners at the major league level. Right now I have not, had some minor league owners, executives throughout all the leagues, but want to go a little bit higher and still kind of want to have that mix. But that would be kind of a big goal of mine, is to be able to get, some of those major league owners, commissioners on the show at some point. But I still have a lot of work to do before I get there.
With your podcast, do you plan on interviewing former players like that have played, along with owners and people that work in sports?
Yeah, and I really like to bring players on to talk about off the field stuff. It's cool to kind of talk about their journey on the field, but I like to hear about, like, what are you doing off the field? When did you start thinking about business? There's a lot of players like that, like active players in the NFL or the NBA that I'd love to have on, but not to talk about like how many baskets or touchdowns they scored. More about like, tell me about your investment portfolio and, what you're thinking about after basketball or football. And so that's an area I definitely would like to get to as well.
What is something that you learned now that you didn't know before starting a podcast and owning sports businesses?
Well, I think for me, I've the only job I really had was with the Fredericksburg Nationals. Prior to that, I was always an owner. So for me, I think I learned a lot more about maybe the process of navigating a career. Like, I've been looking at career opportunities for myself instead of owning teams, like to being a team president or a GM. And so I think learning how people have navigated that process throughout their career and some of the things that they look for, I have really stuck with me. One specifically is I heard it over and over again is they look for people. So it's not as much about like the position as it is the people that are there and the people that you're going to work with. And so it's an area it wasn't at the top of my list when I was looking more at the position. But I think you're right. And, being an owner, I can control who I'm working with. But going into a position, you want to make sure that you put yourself with a group of people that you can be successful and you're going to mesh well with. So I think getting to know people a little bit better is something that I learned from the show. But there's so many great ideas that I've learned from the show. It's really exciting. I can't wait to get back in the front office with a team and utilize some of these. But the relationships that I'm building with the people that have been on have really been great. So I've been able to keep in touch with people. LinkedIn is really been active and grown. So I always encourage people. I mean, a podcast you could use it for a million ways to benefit yourself. Just from a networking standpoint and meeting new people, it's an asset. And then how much can you learn from it? I learn every day.
That's great. Where can my listeners find you at on social media?
Social media, I'm at Andrew G. Haines, and Haines is Haines. For the podcast, I've got andrewhainesshow.com. So you can check out all the episodes there. But, the podcast is on, Spotify, Apple Podcast, iHeartRadio, Pandora. It's on like 20, 30 places. So you can check it out there. And then YouTube, same thing, Andrew G. Haines. I try to have a lot of videos up there as well. But always open for ideas, suggestions on how to make it better, guests to have on, but just trying to have fun with it.
Thank you again, Andrew, for your interview, and best of luck in your future with your podcast and wherever it may hold you with your professional career.
Yeah, thanks. Thanks again for having me, and good luck with your show too, man. You've been doing a great job.
Thank you. You can find Brandon Sports Talk on Facebook at Brandon Sports Talk, Instagram at Brandon Sports Talk, Twitter at Talk_Brandon, and you can find me on YouTube at Brandon Sports Talk. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Thank you again, Andrew, for your interview, and best of luck.
You've been watching Brandon Sports Talk. Please feel free to like, share, and subscribe to Brandon Sports Talk on social media and on YouTube.